Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tesla Life special episode. Here we are on the 2nd of May, 2020. And joining us today remotely, social distancing, of course, is Mr. Spreitzer. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing well. Just keeping safe at home.
Safe at home, absolutely. And we're doing this through Skype, so I apologize if there's some reverb in the audio, but we're going to try to get through this and see if this works okay. So Rob is joining us for he's offered to join us tonight, which I'm truly thankful. Rob, if you don't know, is someone that owns a Model 3 and is on the high mileage list of Model 3. His vehicle at this point is how many kilometers, Rob?
155,000 kilometers in 23 months.
Very good. So that's almost 100,000 miles for our American friends, and over 155,000 kilometers. So one of the highest mileage Model 3s on the road, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
It's pretty up there. I think there's maybe a couple people who have passed me now, but it's I'm pretty much at the top.
Okay. All right. Interesting. So today we wanted to have a little discussion about Rob's experience with the Model 3, what he has done, what he has found, his experience, and let's start at the beginning. When did you originally place an order for the Model 3, and maybe tell us a little bit about why?
So when the Model 3 was first announced, I mean, I was always really interested in the Model S and the Model X, and I just knew I couldn't afford them. So the Model 3 was just an affordable Tesla, and well, more affordable than these other ones, and got me really interested. And at the time, I was driving a 2015 Nissan Leaf, and I had the EV bug from that, and I was just really interested to upgrade. So on March 31st, 2016, I took the day off of work and I drove down to Yorkdale Mall in my Nissan Leaf.
And that, of course, is in Toronto for people that don't know. Yeah.
It's in Toronto, so it's about 100 kilometers. The Nissan Leaf wouldn't be able to make it there and back without charging. So it was a one-way trip. And I lined up at 5:30 in the morning and with 700 of my closest friends. And it was really an experience. There were other people in line from the Leaf group, and it just seemed like you could go back through the line and just meet up with people who were also standing there waiting for to order a Model 3. We didn't know what it looked like. We knew we had to put $1,000 down, but I think we just knew it was a more affordable Tesla sedan, and nobody knew what it looked like. It was just put $1,000 down, put your name on the list. So, being that store pre-orders should get the car first, we didn't want to wait for the online ordering that would happen after the reveal that night.
Right. So you wanted to be at the head of the line, and at 5 a.m., were you at the head of the line? How far back were you?
About 40, 45 people, I would say.
Okay.
And what's funny about Yorkdale is right across the mall, in the same row of the mall, there's the Apple store. And I'm sure the people at the Apple store were going, what the heck is with the lineup today at the, just there at the Tesla store?
Exactly. I'm sure they were wondering what the heck is going on, because they're used to seeing lines in front of their store for release day.
Right. And this line was huge. It snaked through the entire mall.
Fantastic. So you got your order in. You saw the reveal that night, and I'm sure you were quite pleased with what you saw on stage, that you had put a deposit down without seeing yet.
Yeah. No. I mean, I knew it was going to be something that was special. I just wasn't exactly sure. I think I really liked the front end and the side. I wasn't such a huge fan of the back, but and the wheels on the one Model 3, which were the Uber turbine wheels, those are the ones I really wanted, and those haven't come out until Model Y.
Right.
Now whatever. It got the Aero wheels, so just
Interesting. So what I wanted to do was kind of touch upon with your experience with a car. You've had it, since 2018, and with your experience, what did you find with the battery? How did you find the range? What kind of charging do you do with it? What's your experience? Your general experience with the battery in the car?
So my Model 3 is a long range rear wheel drive. So it's the most efficient version, most efficient trim level, which they no longer make. But the battery was originally rated for 499 kilometers when I got the car, and I think they've increased that to 523 kilometers now. I mean, from my perspective, it's just a number that's placed on the screen. If you follow the speed limits and drive efficiently, let's say you tailgate some transport trucks, you're gonna easily beat that number. I've been to Sault Ste. Marie 3 times, and I went to Florida once, and you you could do 500 plus kilometers before stopping to charge at a supercharger. Now, when I did the Florida trip, everything was 120 kilowatts because they hadn't upgraded the superchargers to 150 kilowatts yet. It was all V2, and you would get I'd always aim to come in on empty. You come in on empty and
Yep.
would charge the fastest. When I went to Sault Ste. Marie, they didn't have superchargers anywhere past Sudbury. So when you get to Sault Ste. Marie, there's like no public level 2 charging. So there was one hotel that had a charger, and if you weren't staying there, you couldn't really use it. So, that's where PlugShare came in handy, and I contacted someone, a Tesla owner on PlugShare, and asked him if I could use his garage level 2. So, he's a very nice guy, and I brought him a bottle of wine, and
Very, very good. Yeah. So that glad that the supercharger network is expanded in Canada. You don't have to do that anymore. But
no,
yeah,
no,
PlugShare is a useful application to certainly have as a backup.
right, and that was those trips to Sault Ste. Marie were, yeah, not this year. They were obviously previous years, and there was nothing past Sault Ste. Marie. And so Sault Ste. Marie from my house is a 510-kilometer drive. Sorry, not Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury from my house, 510 kilometers, and I made it there with about 30 or 40 kilometers to spare. Just driving straight through. We didn't stop. It's unfortunate that the battery is so large because as a human, I almost need to stop the bathroom more often than the car needs to stop to charge. Florida,
Exactly.
Florida was a similar situation when we drove to Florida straight through. It was 27 hours nonstop, just stopping 15 minutes every few hours for charging. Run the battery.
And you've developed, I understand, a little bit of an enhancement to your charging on long trips about not charging, full. You're coming in close to empty. You're charging up to 70 or 80%, and
Not,
then you're
not,
off.
not even that much. I come in, I want to come in, my ideal amount is 5%. So if I've got, 25 to 40 kilometers remaining on the dashboard, that's what I want to be at when I pull into the supercharger. And I want to charge to about 60% tops and then be on my way, because after about 60%, the charge rate starts to drop off. So I just want to maximize that charge rate. Anything above 100 kilowatts is pretty good. And then when you drop down below 100 kilowatts, it's just, well, we'll just hit another charger.
Yeah, yeah. So having a car that you've done this type of distance in, how are you finding your charging? Like if you had to say how much you've charged on L3 compared to L2 at home, what's the kind of percentage you would guess at?
I would think about 95% level 2. I only use the level 3 on long trips, and if I had a really busy day and I was all over the place and I still need to go somewhere, I'll hit a local supercharger to just top up. For 5 minutes gets me 100 kilometers on a level 2 when I'm really empty. So I'll stop for 5 minutes at Cambridge or Mississauga, and now they got the Kitchener superchargers, which I used once, but I was unimpressed because I came in without having an empty battery, and it wasn't warm. My battery wasn't warm, so it didn't charge.
You weren't getting anywhere near the 250 that was
No,
capable of. Yeah.
I wasn't getting level 2 speeds.
Yeah.
So
And we've also noticed here in Canada that when those level 3s go into effect, sometimes there's a bit of a learning period that they are slower than some others, but they start to pick up as time goes along. And of course, winter up here is another piece of the puzzle, which thankfully is over. But with your car, I'm sure people are curious. How do you get to 100,000 miles or 155,000 kilometers? What are you doing to get that kind of kind of distance on your vehicle? What are you doing?
Well, I did drive a few people on Uber. Just a couple here. It was close to 5,000.
So you did 5,000 pickups on Uber?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
There in about a year and a half, just part time, evenings, weekends.
All right.
Just helping with the budget a little bit.
Yep, certainly helps with payments and other things that come due. Absolutely.
Right. I was able to pay off my car, and in the first year I owned it, I had financed it for 5 years, and instead of doing the regular payments, I just, after year number 1 of doing Uber, I just said, I wrote my insurance, the check to the bank, and I said, here's the money. I don't want to pay you guys anymore.
Well, that's great. And of course, with that type of mileage on your car, what kind of repairs, what kind of expected or unexpected repairs have you seen through the life cycle of your car, which is now really only about 2 years old?
Yeah. Well, my normal maintenance for me is kind of washer fluid top-ups, just every once in a while.
The expensive stuff, yeah.
Yeah, put the Rain-X in. I know Rain-X is not necessarily recommended, but I like Rain-X. So we'll put some of that in. And then I think it was about maybe 18 months of ownership, I got a squeaky upper control arm. So had to have that replaced, but I was out of warranty by that point. I was over 100,000 kilometers, probably 120,000 kilometers. So I couldn't even beg them to not charge me for it. So it's not even expensive for the part. It was $210 for the part. The problem is Tesla's labor rates are pretty crazy, 175 an hour.
Right.
So ended up being about after taxes, like $650 repair for the upper control arm. Other than that, intermittent horn, lower tone horn, and I know, Mark, I've been driving next to you before, and I heard your car has the same.
I had that intermittent horn happen to me as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And other than that, no, that's it. That's it. Just drive it.
What about the wear on your tires? With that kind of mileage, you've got to be going through more tires than regular.
Yeah, I mean, my first set of tires lasted about 60,000 kilometers. So I did the math, and I figured that the tires actually are the most expensive part of the car. It's not the electricity; it's the tires cost more to replace than the amount of electricity you'll use driving 60,000 K. Here in Ontario, where off-peak rates are very reasonable. So I figure it costs me about 1.3 cents per kilometer for electricity, and about 1.5 cents per kilometer for tires.
Okay, all right.
And that's weird. It's a weird comparison, but I don't know what else to compare it to. On a gas car, it's not even close. It's the gas is the number one cost. On an electric car, tires are the number one cost.
Yeah. That's interesting. What about other wear and tear items besides tires? Anything that you can think of that we see some people reporting about, like the rocker panels, or the just below the door, some paint issues. Have you seen any of that wear and tear over your 155,000 kilometers?
No, but I kind of cheated recently where I got PPF for the rocker panels. And so because I've seen other people who just said, oh, I'm getting sandblasted. My brother-in-law, he was showing me his red Model 3, and it was, he had little specks in front of the rear wheel. and he was kind of upset about the whole thing. And I said, "Oh, I better get PPF for the rocker panels." And I've heard of other people doing it, and also got mud flaps. You know, the generic Amazon mud flaps.
Yeah.
Now Tesla gave me a set of mud flaps, the official ones or whatever, but I don't want to use them. I've read really negative things about them, so I'd rather spend $25-$30 on a set of mud flaps on Amazon. The formed molded ones, I like them. Although one of them got torn off sometime last winter, so I had to buy another set. So I recently installed it, and you know, they fit perfectly, and I'm very happy with them.
Okay, so you've got those on the front behind the front tires. Did you do anything for the rear?
Well, it's a set of 4 mud flaps.
Okay.
$25. So
yeah.
Just
so
put them on all 4. And other than that, I got a couple minor rock chips on the hood. But I mean, there's a lot of people who say the paint is really bad on these cars, and I have not experienced that at all. I came from a Honda. I had a Honda Civic before, and the paint on that would just like fly off as you drove down the highway. And so I didn't find that this car is especially bad or anything. I mean, the rock chips are from significant rocks. I did get a chip in the windshield at some point as well, where rock flew up and got it pretty good, but we just fixed the chip. We didn't replace the windshield.
Okay. All right. And with your experience, you talked about putting PPF on the front of the car. Is there anything that you would advise people that are buying a Model 3 to maybe consider once they've bought the car, the modifications that you would suggest?
Well, I just did the PPF on the rocker panels. I never PPF the actual front of the car. I have an entire kit I bought, and I was going to do it myself, and I just never got around to it. So, you know, it's a little bit late now. You know, there's certain things I've done, cheap things. You know, there's some cheap things you can do that just make the car nicer. Center console wrap is probably the best thing you can do. I absolutely can't stand the black gloss. It gets fingerprints, it gets dusty, it gets scratches. It drives me crazy. So wrapping the center console would be really good, advisable. I did the performance pedals. They're like $10 on Amazon. So might as well, for $10. Oh man, that's so much better, and it's easy. They're easy to install.
Absolutely. Did them myself as well. Yeah.
Right. I mean, $10. It's just a drop in the bucket. And then what else? Screen protector. I have a screen protector now. It's supposed to resist fingerprints, but it doesn't. But what it does do is that when it does get fingerprints, really easy to just wipe them off. They wipe off instantly with a microfiber. Like you don't have to, no scrubbing, no chemicals, no nothing like that. You just wipe it, and the fingerprints come right off of that screen protector.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy my carbon fiber spoiler. It's expensive. I really love my rims. They're expensive. So I don't really recommend that for the average person. But the Tesla badging on the back, I did the front style badging because I thought that was cool. I did some carbon fiber overlays for the door handles. I got some carbon fiber dash trim pieces because I didn't really like the way the wood looked. Originally, I wrapped it, but then I got some ABS panels that just fit over it. I didn't use the sticky tape because then it would be more permanent. They just sit there and they don't come off. They don't come off unless you lift them. So
even with the extreme acceleration of the Model 3, they don't come off.
The extreme acceleration, they hook in pretty good. And and I changed a bunch of the lights. I upgraded the lights. The trunk lights weren't bright enough, so I upgraded those. I actually manually pulled them apart and I added extra LEDs in them and then put them back together. There's lots of things you can do. I changed the cabin air filters finally after about 150,000 K. Not the easiest job in the world, but there are YouTube videos on how to do it, and they were like $50 for the pair of filters. So not cheap, but you're supposed to do that a lot more often than I did it.
Right. Okay, well, there's a picture, a couple of pictures you've shared with us of your white Model 3 long range. Looks like you've upgraded the rims as well.
Yeah, they're T Sport line, TSS 20-inch uh, gray rims, space gray, I guess. And like I said, not cheap, and they do kill range a bit. They're not aero rims. They're not efficient. They're heavy. They look good, but
Yep, absolutely,
they
absolutely.
definitely they definitely kill range. It's not the same as the aero covers. When you have those 18-inch arrows, they it gets probably 15%, 20% better range than the 18-inch arrows. And if I was going on a long trip, I would be sure to take these off and swap my 18-inch back onto it.
Yeah, yeah. So with the mileage that you've done in the car, obviously a great amount. What do you like most about the car? What's your positives, and after that, what's your negatives?
Well, positives. You know, the drivetrain is just awesome. Love the drivetrain. You know, after you've driven a gas car, driving an electric car is totally different. And then you cannot, it wrecks you. It wrecks you for gas cars. Uh,
Yeah,
the touch screen, the user interface, I find it very intuitive. It's great to use. The glass roof is wonderful. I find it a little bit tinted a little too dark, but I really, really, really love the glass roof. And autopilot is just a godsend. Holy cow! When you do these long trips, let the car drive. Why would I? You know, these monotonous highway drives, the car just drives perfect. You just put your hand on the steering wheel and the car just goes. And so on that Florida trip where I did, probably 90% of the driving the car actually drove, and I just babysat it and made sure it didn't do anything stupid. On the highway, autopilot is awesome, and I couldn't recommend it enough. I bought FSD, which is not available yet, but there was a good deal on it to buy FSD. So there's a sale, an Elon sale, and then
yeah.
and then they took off that sale like 2 weeks later and go, no, 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 we can't offer it that price anymore. So, but I picked it up in the meantime. Yeah, and then some negatives, a couple of things that bother me about it. The blind spot indicators being on the center screen is just not a good place. Put the blind spot indicators. You're looking in the mirror. The indicators should be on the mirror, like they are in other cars. So I don't like that. And yeah, you know that's I don't know about anything else. That's just the big one for me. Um,
That's your main one, is the blind spot indicator where they put it on the car. It would be nice to have it on the mirror, I would believe too. Yeah.
yeah, the other thing about the car is coming from. I also have an i3. We have a BMW i3, and I got to say the turning circle on the Model 3 is not the best. I think most cars have a better turning circle than the Model 3. But I mean, in most cases, you don't really need a tighter turning circle. It's just nice. It's a nice to have.
Right. Right.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So with that said, um, I guess the title of the video, we indicated that this is a Model 3 at 100,000 miles almost. And that's because the mileage in your car has basically stopped at this point. It's not ticking up any longer. And maybe explain to us, the viewing audience, as to what happened recently with your Model 3.
I didn't make it. So about 3 weeks ago, I was driving. I was driving home from making a delivery. I sold some stuff on local marketplace, and on the way home, coming through green light, the driver going the opposite direction while he's crossing my path. Uh, he thought he saw a green light, so he accelerated through the red light and hit me in the side. Kind of got the front bumper, front quarter panel. He messed up my suspension. He got the front door. He got the rear door. Rocker panel is messed up. So it's been in the shop for 3 weeks. It's the insurance situation is interesting to say the least. My insurance company thinks the damage is 6,000, but the shop seems to think the damage is more closer to 15,000. And so they've been arguing for 3 weeks over how much the damage is, and if the shop is going to be willing to do it for the insurance company's preferred price. So even though it was 0% my fault, they're still arguing over how they're going to fix my car. And if they, the insurance company's trying to argue that it doesn't need certain parts when the shop is kind of saying, yeah, it does. And so it's not, what's interesting about that shot? You can see the side camera repeater and it's right out and everything. Still works.
It's popped out, but it still works.
Still works because it was all on the Sentry. I had the Sentry camera from the crash, and highly recommend that anyone who's driving a Model 3 gets a solid state hard drive or something like that to record.
To make sure you're always recording. Yes, absolutely.
I had the video and I provided it to my insurance company, and they're like, "Oh, well, that makes it pretty cut and dry."
Yeah. And that's something that people should be reminded of absolutely when they get their cars, to get yourself some sort of a recording device, whether it's a solid state drive or a USB stick or something, but make sure that it's reliably on.
I had a USB stick originally, and I found that it was unreliable. It ended up failing on me in the period of a month or less. And so then I got a Samsung solid state drive, a T5. Everyone knows about the T5 drives, and it's been recording reliably for a long time, more than a year, and I'm very happy with it. And it's a small investment. You can get those on sale for about $80, and it's a small investment for proof to your insurance company. Hey, look, it really wasn't me.
Exactly. Having that proof is certainly ideal, and being able to prove things really quickly with the different viewpoints that the Tesla cam picks up as you're driving. Absolutely, great
I wish
suggestion.
The Ford F-150 that hit me had autopilot, and it would or some type of full self-driving that would have screamed at the driver, going, "No, that's a red light. Don't go.
Stop.
Yes."
Oh, that is unfortunate. We've been planning this interview, as Rob knows, for a while. We wanted to do it right at the 100,000 mark, but this kind of put a bump in the plan. So we decided to go ahead and release this anyways at this time. But the good news, of course, is that this particular vehicle is going to be fixed and back on the road, hopefully soon.
Yeah,
well,
probably
hopefully.
More than a month, yeah.
So let me ask this. Of course, your insurance company puts you in another Model 3, right? Like that was an automatic?
No, I asked for a comparable vehicle. I begged them for a comparable vehicle, and they said, "Oh, yeah, no problem. We'll get you a comparable." I said, "I hope it's electric." And they said, "Electric?" No. I said, "Then it's not comparable." So I've got an Audi right now, and they have, because I told them it wasn't comparable, and I told them I need them to pay for my gas. They said, reluctantly, "Okay, we'll pay for a reasonable amount." And when I talked to the guy at the rental agency, he says, "I've been here for 5 years, and I've never seen an insurance company pay for gas."
Ah, well, that's a good tip. If you do get into an accident, let your insurance company know that is what you want, because you don't pay for gas now.
No, I mean, I'd be even willing to pay for the difference between the gas and the electric. If I drive 100K and the gas is $8 and the electricity is $1.30, I'd be willing to pay that $1.30 for every 100. But I don't think that's just a drop in the bucket compared to what they're going to be paying for my gas to have a rental for 2 months.
Yeah. Well, Rob, I certainly appreciate you joining us this afternoon and giving us some expertise that you've learned over that high amount of mileage. I assume you're going to keep driving. That's something that you're just going to keep driving and racking up those miles. Am I right?
You and I both know that it's pretty addictive driving these cars.
I would absolutely agree. It is addictive, and always have a smile driving the Model 3. Love to drive electric, and never driven so much in my life once I got an electric car.
No, it just, unfortunately, it drives my mileage up. And I've read some recent studies where they said people who drive Teslas actually drive more than any other brand now.
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, Rob, we're gonna post some information in the notes here. Your Twitter feed, what would that be?
My Twitter
if people
handle
want to
is
get a hold of you.
at High Mileage Rob. So I thought it was appropriate.
It is absolutely. And
So,
if you don't mind, I think we'll maybe put some links to your Tesla Cam video of the crash if people want to
sure.
see how that actually happened. We'll do that in the notes as well. Certainly, if you like this episode, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the Tesla Life already, please do that. That helps our numbers and gets us in front of more people as well. So once again, Rob, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We appreciate learning from your experience, and we look forward till you hit the 1,000,000 miles. I'm sure that's coming at some point.
I don't know about 1,000,000 miles, but I want to try for 1,000,000 kilometers. Thank you for having me on, Mark. Appreciated it as always.
You're quite welcome. Thank you, everyone, for watching out there. And tune in next week. We do a weekly show. So please subscribe and you'll be notified when those shows happen. So good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, everyone.